it's concluded. So good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. However, it's like Friday, at the end of the week. You are here. We would like to thank you. First of all, we would like to thank, our today's speakers. I will start with the ladies, Miss Vanessa Berger and Dr. Michael Junkmeyer. It's a pleasure for us to have both of them here in order to discuss about biodiversity as a key driver for innovation, recent advances in BioDivTecs. So it's going to, the talk today is going to combine technology and biology terms, and we are looking forward, how, this need and has motivated for the development of technologies. I'm going to speak a little bit about the speakers. I will start again, as I mentioned, with our speaker, Vanessa Berger, who is responsible for spatial and statistical analysis, as well as the consulting and implementation of holistic monitoring concepts for nature conservation. Her research focus is on the integration of new technologies in biodiversity monitoring and ecological monitoring. At the Carinthia University of Applied Sciences, it teaches the course Conservation of Technologies, Methods, Tools, and Equipment. I have to say that this is very important. There are a lot of calls regarding also twinning, the Green Deal part, that they involve on all these kind of technologies and sciences. Vanessa finished her master's study in ecology and biodiversity at the University of Innsbruck. Her main focus during the study was on ecosystem research and landscape ecology. Before starting at ECO Institute for Ecology in 2017, she was an intern at Hohe Tauern National Park and the District Department of Environment in Kitzbühel. All right, now I'm moving to Michael, Professor Michael Junkmeyer. As I told you, he's a UNESCO chairholder. Michael is a professor for nature conservation and sustainability at Carinthia University of Applied Sciences. He is an ecologist and human geographer and holds the UNESCO chair on the sustainable development of conservation areas. In his function at the Carinthia University of Applied Sciences, he is involved in 3 educational offers: the master's programs, management of conservation areas, the certificate course, nature conservation engineer, and the taxonomist, a certificate course on artificial intelligence supported species identification. As the founder of ECO, Institute of Ecology, that has been established in 1997, an internationally active consulting and research institution for nature conservation in the 21st century. He had been involved in more than 600 projects in about 40 countries worldwide. 600 projects. Amazing. The focus of his work is on the management of natural assets, in particular conservation areas, with a focus on UNESCO designated sites. So we're looking forward for your talk. I think Michael is going to, this talk and your involvement in Athena is going to be your 601 project. And we're like also to welcome Vanessa to this to Athena, and also to this series of invited talks. So I will provide the floor to Vanessa. Vanessa is going to present, and she's going to share her screen in order to go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Kostas, for the warm welcome. Definitely, as Siegfried already said, it had started to pour down very heavily. So we're in a real thunderstorm right now. And it's good to know that Vanessa is in a different federal state. So I hope, Vanessa, you have a better weather and you can be a backup in case anything would happen. We will share the presentation. I will start. Vanessa will have a deep insight into some of the technological aspects, and I will try to conclude and to summarize. On the first slide.
Do you see the presentation?
Yes, everything is fine. On the next slide. I just want to share with you where we are. Carinthia University of Applied Sciences is very proud to be a new member in Athena Association. And we are happy to participate in this exciting family. And for those who have not yet been in contact with us, I just wanted to share in this slide that Carinthia is a southernmost province of Austria. We are bordering Slovenia and Italy. So you see on the slide where we are in about. Carinthia University of Applied Sciences has 5 campuses that are spread in the whole federal state. On the next slide, I want to share just a few information about the UNESCO chair that already has been mentioned. We are very proud that the research group, as it is established at Carinthia University of Applied Sciences, is recognized as UNESCO chair. UNESCO chair means that the specific scientific and educational activities that we conduct directly connect to the work, to the values, and to the principles of UNESCO. You know that UNESCO is the educational, scientific, and cultural organization of the United Nations. And of course, UNESCO has a very broad range of activities. One of them is this UNESCO Chair Network. As of now, some 850 institutions all around the globe are recognized as UNESCO chairs or UNESCO K2 centers. There is 2 different types, 2 different categories. And our UNESCO chair has been established in the year 2020. The idea is that higher education and research institutions pool their resources, both human and also material resources, and address the most pressing challenges for sustainable development in their countries, but also globally. And in the last years, the environmental, the number of chairs in the field of environmental issues, nature conservation, and biodiversity have started to increase, and we are one of these new UNESCO chairs. On the next slide, we want to share, before we dive deeply into the scientific aspects, we want to share with you also like the context of the activities and the big mission of our UNESCO chair. Each UNESCO chair needs to deliver a promise to UNESCO, and our mission, our promise is that we will do definitely our best to empower and enable personalities, institutions, but also societies to face the present and future challenges in the management of conservation areas. Conservation areas are protected sites such as national parks, nature parks, World Heritage sites. This was too quick for me. Maybe we can go back. Thank you very much. And this chair is particularly working with UNESCO designated sites. So we definitely work with UNESCO geoparks globally, with UNESCO biosphere reserves globally, and with UNESCO World Heritage sites globally. The research findings that we generate in these concrete test areas, they shall be generalized and used in the context of the specific nation on one hand, but also in the very general context of conservation areas globally. Our work is to be based on international policies and standards, of course, and the principles of UNESCO and the values of UNESCO are like the baseline for our work. I was very happy to see and to learn that in Athena there is a second UNESCO chair. Definitely we will try to connect and to exchange the UNESCO chair. The second colleague in the network is on geohazards and geology, so not so far away from what we are doing, and it will be really very exciting to elaborate together what we can contribute as UNESCO chairs, on one hand to Athena, but on the other hand, of course, also to UNESCO with joint forces. On the next slide, you know, Vanessa is sitting in a separate federal state, so it takes a little bit to to connect to each other, but it works very well. We are synchronized because we work together for quite some years. Why is this conservation areas so important, and why is there a specific need for working in this field? And I would like to answer with one figure only, and this is 17. As of now, 17% of the global terrestrial surface are protected. 17%. So almost every 5th square meter you would walk on our planet is somehow under a protection scheme. And all international standards, all international contracts and conventions have agreed to increase this figure by 2030 up to 30%. So in 2030, 30% of this planet shall be protected. And that, of course, means a lot of capacities needed for that, and a lot of research needed for that, and also a lot of new mechanisms for steering and managing the country, and the different conflicts that occur will be needed in the next years and in the next decades. We think that this is a process that will challenge the societies for the whole century. This is why we talk about nature conservation in the 21st century. On the next slide, just to share with you, we have 3 educational offers. One is on nature conservation in construction sites, very specific and very technical one. One is an international master program for managing conservation areas in an international context, and we also have a lot of international participants in this specific master program. And thirdly, we have this new training for e-taxonomists, which does not connect to taxation or to tax or to taxes, but to taxonomy in the context of biology. And the challenge is to identify individual species in different stages of their development, of their ontology. And we, in this context, work with increasingly with artificial intelligence, and the program is addressed to these technologies. On the next slide, I want to share a small video with you, because we specifically address on 2 SDGs. One is the SDG Life on Land, and the second one is the SDG on climate action. We consider both of these SDGs to be a different side of the same coin. You cannot address climate activities without considering ecosystems, ecosystem services, and biodiversity. And this is where our specific technologies that we will share with you right now are connected to the global debate and to the international discussion. On the next slide, we dive now into these BioDivTecs, in these biodiversity technologies. We consider in this field, when it's about using new technologies to assess to evaluate and to monitor biodiversity on our planet, that there is an increasing number of really exciting disruptive technologies that help us to deliver and to conduct these monitoring and these assessments and these evaluations. In a project that will be presented by Vanessa in a technical detail, we assessed these technologies and we clustered them to like different families. And you see here this family overview. One on the left side, you see all technologies related to remote sensing, to different to remote sensing technologies that work on different scales and where we have really exciting new tools. Secondly, and right, you see these like biological and genetic methods summarized as DNA barcoding and DNA, environmental DNA. This is methods that allow very specifically to identify individual species by only having an element of the species. So maybe only one leg or one element of this, one egg maybe, or something where you have genetic materials in there. And these methods are very, very sensitive and very precise and offer complete new opportunities to identify species and also to monitor the development of species. On the right side as well, you see these automatic recording units like camera traps, audio traps, different transmitters, different sensors, different loggers that are individually maybe not an outstanding technology. A camera trap is already in place since 15, 20, 25 years. But the exciting thing, of course, is to assess and analyze these tremendous amounts of data that it generates. So you put the camera trap out there and you have thousands and thousands of pictures and videos, and you need to systematically analyze these videos in order to really understand what is going on there in the field. And on the left side, at the bottom, you see that, of course, we need to give reference to a lot of background technologies, how to work with big data, with data science, data intelligence, with artificial intelligence. We have a lot of instruments deriving from geoinformatics and geostatistics, and also a lot of aspects from sensorics. So these families of technologies help us very much to assess biodiversity. And I may say that our research group is a research group that is mainly consisting of biologists, ecologists, zoologists, entomologists, and we are embedded in the Faculty of Engineering and IT, and we try to unite and bring together the biology and the technology and to arrange a completely new setting with this, what we call BioDivTecs. On the next slide, just an overview on this, what these technologies can provide. This, for example, is a digital twin of a forest. So if you repeat such a picture, you may see the forest grow, you may assess individual trees, you may calculate how much CO2 is stored in this forest. So this is a new opportunity, for example, to assess forests. On the next slide, just one picture from our home area, one of our most beautiful riverbeds that we have here in Carinthia, as an indication that high resolution remote sensing provides and allows completely new pictures of the vegetation and of the ecosystem and their services. Vanessa will dive more in detail with that aspect. On the next slide, we will see that by using genetic information, we are able to identify theoretically all, practically not yet all, different species that we have on our planet. Thirdly, fourthly, I guess, next slide, please. And then I hand over to Vanessa. These acoustic devices, for example, allow to track for different species that make a noise, such as birds, such as bats, such as different insects. They produce a particular pattern of noise, and it's possible to identify the individual species based on the different sonograms that they produce. On the next slide, I will hand over to Vanessa, and we will have the possibility to see more into depth how these individual technologies are used and how these different technologies and workflows are developed and what is the recent state of research.
So in our research project, Biodiversity Monitoring Technologies, in short, BioMonitech, we tried out a lot of different technologies, but also we are so we took our knowledge we had already about the classical tool to bring together both worlds. And first, I would show you a little bit those automated tools we tried out. So here we have the acoustics, and on the left side it's those who are just recording data, so it's the song meter and also the audio mouse. And in the middle, there is a special sensor for smartphones where you can make also frequencies hearable. We are normally not allowed, or we cannot hear, because bats, the frequency is too high for humans. And with these sensors, we can also see the sequence of their noises. And on the right, you can see such an automated sensor station, which is recording the data and send it to the platform who is analyzing it. And just as an example, so we took the left one, so the song meters, which are not sending the data, and bring it to the field, and we had a sequence of 25 days with 3 devices with just 1 hour of during sunset and sundown. And these produced 8,432 sequences, just that you get an idea about how many data sets we are talking. And this is so an expert in biology would need to go out there a lot of times to get so many sequences recorded in his brain and filtered and so on. So here you can see how important those devices are, because they can help us to gather data, but we need to work a little bit more on the analysis. The next group is the telemetry. So on the left side, you can see now more or less standard telemetry on a bearded vulture. So it's now already working since years that we also can see more or less in near real time where they are. But there's also a huge group, so we are not tried it out, but there are a lot of colleagues who are mounting sensors on insects. So as you can imagine, for an insect, it's really crucial that it's not too heavy, that it can still fly. And so it's a little bit of a reduced technology, so without sending, so you have to go out to allocate where the species are. But it's really good to find out where are they going, because as you imagine, we cannot just fly behind the bearded vulture, so we need technology to find out if he's flying up to 4,000 kilometers in the air or not, or how far they can go during one day. The next big group is wildlife camera, as Michael already mentioned. So it's not, so making a picture is not the newest technology, but what is really new in conservation is that we are able to send it. So if you're not in a rural area where you do not have connection, but If you have connection, you can send it to platform who are able to analyze already and group the data together, because it's really making picture and the SAS data is in the meanwhile not a problem. It's more how to handle these big data amounts. So we are normally using wildlife cameras for identification of species, so mammals especially, but we are also starting with birds and insects. And because the insects, they are not warm enough that they can trigger the infrared of a wildlife camera. We are collecting the data with time-lapse photography, and with our cameras we are making 1,000 pictures a day. So also here we really need AI to help to filter the data and count what insects we are finding out there. And as you can see, also wildlife cameras you can use to make things visible we would normally not see, because if we're going out there, we are disturbing wildlife. And the camera is an opportunity to see how are animals reacting in wildlife without disturbance, but also we can see during night, as you can see here in the pictures, which animals are meeting each other during the night. And here's an example of our colleague Sedun, who is counting birds. So this is also image-based counting, but from another perspective, it's the bird eye perspective from a drone. So we are making drone images and using AI later on to count birds. As you can see also here, it's not always perfect, but it's really easier for us to count a lot of birds, because if we are standing out there, we just see, so a human just can see a glimpse of an area he is walking through, and there is also disturbance. So if you know the birds you're monitoring, so you need a little bit of knowledge to not disturb them with the drone, so to not harm more as you really learn about them, but then you get a better data set if you have this bird's eye perspective. And here is also the example for our camera I mentioned already. So this is our camera traps we are using, and we build up our own AI model to analyze it. So we tag the images with the label box, and now we can count insects on flowers. And another good way to collect data is citizen science. So I just want to mention here one platform. So this is the app iNaturalist, where really every citizen can contribute to science. So here's an example, is one of our workshops. So we are going out with children, we ask them, please make a picture, and iNaturalist have already a built-in software. So in the background, if you have internet connections, they analyze the picture you sent or you made out there, and then you get the list of potential animals or a list of potential insects, so a species identification. And if you say, okay, I'm sure, or I'm not so sure, you just can add it's an insect. And in the background, there are a lot of scientists who are checking the data. And if some people agree that you're right, that you found the right species, then you also get research grades. So it's not just I found something, also the community is telling me, yes, you found the right one. And this is one of a huge advantage in biodiversity, and also so to assess biodiversity and the nature conservation. And we really need more of these near real-time exchange of our data, because we have so many different input data in monitoring. So we have those species identification, we have pictures, we have DNA, and we have also those remote, so this spatial information. And what is crucial to make really data-driven decisions on management, so if there's something going on, is that we know. So it's not longer the topic that we can make a picture, it's the topic that we have to make a decision based on the pictures, because maybe we found some really rare species, then we need to think about how can we protect this species. And therefore the platform Earth Ranger and Smart Conservation is a really nice one, because it's an easy platform which is getting together a lot of different data sets. So you have this digital data collection out in the field with Cyber Tracker. Then you have all your spatial information in this platform, all your pictures, and you're not having troubles in bringing together your descriptive data with pictures and spatial data. So when you use such platforms, everything is together, and it's really easy for people to make good decisions based on these data sets, because you can make standardized queries and reportings already. And here is an example of my colleagues in Ethiopia. So it's, you can see easily a map, what is going on, what they observed out there. And what is the really good thing is that we now not longer just see, oh, there's something going on. We also can see where are our rangers. So because it's not always that there are a lot of incidents means that we there have a problem. Maybe there's another area where we never ever looked for problems. So also here, technology helps us to understand what's going on in our nature conservation sites. And now I dive a little bit into those remote sensing technologies. So here we are using different sensor platforms and also different scales. So we have these aerial platforms, then the drones, but also terrestrial, like a backpack or the terrestrial laser scanner. But in the meanwhile, it's also we are able to using tablets or just cameras to gather our data sets. So here is an example of the change detection Michael mentioned already. So the red dots means that the tree is disappearing. So if you have data sets of 2 different years, you just can, you can calculate minus and see where you lost biomass. And those digital twins means also that we are able to assess parameters really on tree level. So we are no longer talking about the whole forest stand. So we really can make accurate biomass calculation on a single tree level. And the laser scanner is up to now the technology where we can get the most precise data set here in the forest. You can use those technologies also in other landscape types like grassland or also underwater. And what we are tested is a GoPro to get such a digital twin with a low cost methodology, so the photogrammetry, to make those 3D models based on just images, because it's much cheaper and easier to make pictures than to have a laser scanner and handle this. So another example from our project is where we are counting flowering individuals of in this matter. And here, so we found more than 4,000 plants, which means it would be really hard if we would go out there and count them. But also this bird eye perspective means that we can see patterns we would not see if we're just standing out there and make a classical inventory of these flowers. Another example is in the Felaha'au. So we are using not just those laser scanning, we also, for the imagery, we are using different sensors with multispectral and hyperspectral, which means that we can make visible another spectrum, so larger than we can see with our naked eyes, and therefore we can calculate, like in this example, the NDVI, which is an indicator for you can use for plant health. And so you can see also different settings of an habitat we would never see just with our naked eyes. So the next technology is the environmental DNA. So in here, this means that we are taking our samples from the environment, which is the soil or water in our case, but you could also use air. And then you sample the specimens if you find some in the water, or you can just extract DNA, amplify it, and meet the recording. So it sounds maybe a little bit easier as it is. So it's still laboratory work, and you have to make a good plan for the monitoring that everything is working out. But also here, the technology is evolving. So here we have tried out a field lab. It's not always easy, because if it starts raining, then you get really stressed out there. But we tried our best, and with this technology, you can identify individual identification. So like we do it with the wolf to know which wolf make the damage, or also get just a species identification list, so how many different species, or you can also just analyze how many species, or just at family level, to get a glimpse of biodiversity in your sample. So here I have two devices which are in the meanwhile quite small, and also this nanopore sequencer. It's really a small one, and I think here the devices are developing very fast, that they are getting always smaller, and we are faster in analysis, and we are not now depending on sending all of our samples to a laboratory and have to wait until they process it. And what we really found out for different technologies, and also when we talk to people about monitoring, is that we need to try to standardize, because if you're talking about monitoring, you always have the same question. So how many resources do we need to monitor? And also, where is the best place? When should I monitor? And the most important, what should I monitor and why I'm doing it? And in our project, we now wrote the global monitoring guideline. So this was also not an easy step. So all in all, 204 people were involved, so people we had to talk with, and we tried to standardize, because we all should have filled out the questions before and really know why we should monitor, to make a meaningful monitoring, and not just take a sample and never ever take another sample. So because for monitoring, it's really important that you have a long-term perspective on it, and not just doing it once. And therefore, we also build up our monitoring configurator, because what we learned is that a lot of people making the same mistakes, and we really try with this monitoring configurator to also get our knowledge to our colleagues, to build a platform where we can share the knowledge, where we can share what happens out there. And so to have a good overview on what technologies are out there. So what would be the best technology for me to use? And therefore we implemented this online catalog, where you can have, with some keywords, you can find out if there is for your monitoring system a better way to do it, and also share your knowledge. And these are the main things we are processing in our research project. And now I will hand over again to Michael.
Thank you, Vanessa, for this deep insight, the technologies. And I will conclude with just a few perspectives on the next slide. I want to summarize that this type of technologies open up completely new possibilities. On one hand, of course, it's a completely new efficiency and effectivity in using the expert knowledge and in generating data. There is a significant gap in existing expertise and experts. So there is a few experts on a specific insect maybe, and if this expert is already busy in a certain time of the year when the insect is around, then there is no second expert, and in this context the technologies will help like to bridge also these specific gaps. For those who work in dangerous fields, like in high mountain areas, in glaciers, near riverbeds, in gorges and so on, of course, the technologies help to be on the safe side. The quality and the quantity of data collected is exploding. So it is exploding. So we have a completely new dimension, which we have not yet faced some 10 or 15 years ago. We have the possibility to repeat all these processes more or less automatically. So we can have a long-term documentation of changes in ecosystems and in ecosystem services. You saw by example of this meadow with the flowers, Vanessa counted 4,000 flowers. If you go to the meadow and count them physically, you trample all of them. So there is no flower left. And with this new technology, you have a completely reduced impact on the ecosystem, of course. And last but not least, these tools can be an improved basis for evidence-based decisions in business and also in politics. And this, on the next slide, we will see is where these technologies significantly connect to the Green Deal of Europe, because the Green Deal is about making sustainable land uses, making sustainable infrastructures, making sustainable and environmentally friendly processes and circular economies. And the only way to verify if this is successful is looking into the ecosystems. And we have like these instruments now in our hand to look very effectively in the changes of the ecosystems and to see if the policy responses are appropriate to what is happening. And you see in this overview slide of the Green Deal that preserving and restoring ecosystems and biodiversity is amongst the few core principles of European policies and of this European Green Deal. On the next slide, I just want to share with you that, of course, Europe also is supporting these ideas of the Green Deal with quite significant financial instruments. You are aware in Athena University and Athena colleagues, of course, about all these significant instruments. And when you go and assess them in detail, you will see there is a lot of activities that specifically address this biodiversity and ecosystem service issues. On this slide, you see 4 European projects where our research group is involved. I do not want to go in detail now, but definitely we hope that also in the Athena network, we will be able to find colleagues who would like to work with us, who would like to exchange with us, who would like to explore with us the possibilities that are in all these European calls, in all these European grants, and in all these European policies. So whoever feels like attracted by this topic, please connect with us. We are really looking forward to cooperation. And on the next slide, I just share one final information with you. Maybe this is also of interest in the context of Athena future development. When you have new technologies for biodiversity, you always need to have test sites. You cannot test these devices in the laboratory. You can, but you also need, of course, the species where you can train your instruments with. And this is why we developed a concept that we're going to implement step by step now. And this is a hub. We call it the BioDivTech Hub Carinthia, where we have concrete test sites for concrete technologies or for concrete ecosystems. And the idea is to have already data in place where you can easily calibrate and test and cross-check your new technologies. So we want to have a significant amount of data, and if you have a new acoustic device, you go there, you already know what type of birds is singing there, and you can explicitly test your devices. We will have so far very specific test sites locally, and we will have 2 systems for a global reference, for globally referencing this information, because when you calibrate technologies, you also need to give reference to a larger scope. And we are connected to the Gloria network, which is a global network of high mountain monitoring systems, where all the highest peak around the globe, the vegetation and the change of vegetation patterns is monitored. And furthermore, it's the AltaNet network, which is a network of environmental monitoring stations all across Europe. So this is something that we are going to develop in the next years, hopefully. The first steps are made in our Carinthia University of Applied Sciences, and also in this context, we are definitely looking for partners. And finally, we come to the final slide, I guess. Yes, this is the final slide. We submit a picture of a flower that is flowering right now here in our high mountains. It's a pulsatilla. We want to thank for your attention. We look forward to exchange and the discussion that is now on the table. If you want to know more about our activities, the homepage is indicated here. And I want to conclude that, of course, also a lot of opportunities for research, education, and business development is connected to that. And on the picture on the right, you see the winners of a business plan competition for BioDivTecs that took place 2 years ago. And the winners, they had a new idea how to apply environmental DNA in the context of fishery. Thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much, both Vanessa and Michael. I was going to say, Michael, I did not felt very relieved when you said like this is the last transparency, because I'm keeping notes and I'm keeping new ideas that you are revealing that I would like to say like keep going, keep going, keep going. So, through your presentation, I think that, I have shaped, some proposals. I'm going to involve also my colleague Ilka. He's going to be surprised, but when he let me speak, he will realize. So congratulations, amazing work. I'm feeling that, this is a missed opportunity for the people that they didn't join today. But let's give the floor for the people to ask questions. Otherwise, I can go ahead with some questions, but also some proposals how your work can be integrated through the Athena, like, in specific, I will be very specific. So any questions from the audience? Otherwise, just a moment, because they knocked my door. Any questions from the audience? Sorry, I have to be the doorman. So I will start with some questions and then I will go on to the proposals. So first of all, I have my first question is the following. I would like to ask you, how much your activities have an impact to the ranking of your university. I'm asking this because there is a very famous ranking list from the Times Higher Education, which is called Times Higher Education Impact Ranking. And this impact ranking has to do with the activities of the university. Keep notes, Silka. These are, activities that are linked with the Sustainable Development Goal and how the Sustainable Development Goal are addressed by the universities. So your work has been integrated in order to help the university to take a better ranking position, because this is exactly what Times Higher Education are doing, which is one of the most prestigious rankings. So are you taking?
I don't know if I'm addressed with this question. I can only say that, of course, out of this research, there is a lot of publications generated. Some of them are quite highly ranked, other ones peer-reviewed, and other ones are rather addressed to professionals somewhere in the field. And of course, this would contribute to the ranking of the university. Personally, and I think I also talk on behalf of Vanessa, we don't know how this is connected to the university ranking. And if it is not yet connected, maybe Kostas, you can help us how that would work out.
Yeah, I will help you, because what are you doing? You are addressing, some of the Sustainable Development Goals, and don't be confused about, the publications, because the Times Higher Education ranking, of course, they have the classical ranking that publication takes into account, but now I'm talking completely different. Independent of the publications, your activities in order to preserve and monitor some animals, some plants, the forestry, these are they are related with one or more of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And based on the actions that you report to the Times Higher Education, then you have a different ranking. So it's a different ranking that is very popular because of the priorities right now of the activities of Europe, of Green Deal, as you mentioned, in general, the protection of the environment. So, I mean, I can send you, the links, I can send you, some materials, because we are checking as well as a university, but I don't think so that we are so advanced, or we have done, the work that you have done. So independent of what are you doing regarding publication, I think that you should address your governance and speak about, you can Google it afterwards, Times Higher Education impact ranking, impact, okay?
This is what we definitely will do. And we very specifically address 2 SDGs. So we very deep into these 2 SDGs, climate action and biodiversity, like life on land.
Yeah. So my second question now, I have realized, but I would like the definition. What are the digital twins? So you can make a digital twin of me. So a copy, this is the digital twin. All right, okay, I got it. And now I'm moving to my proposal. So
no, maybe just one. The digital twin is coming out from like processing. If you for machines or something, or for construction, you would have a digital twin. And the new thing is that we have a digital twin for forests, for example, as well.
And now I'm going to the proposals. I have the proposals. I have kept a note of what did you say when you started to present the biodiversity technologies. So I kept some notes, and I can include, topics that shows how the technology and how the education should go. Biology, electronics, big data, space, geoinformatics, evidence-based decision that I have included under soft skills, artificial intelligence, sensorics, ecologist, insectologist, or something like this. So, I mean, this is amazing, because one of the projects that we are designing in order to submit next year is about the multidisciplinary department. In my opinion, the universities, they are going to be transformed like this. They are not going to be one department. They are going to be people from different departments that they are going to produce programs that they enhance what you have presented. So I would like you to invite to this project if you would like to participate. And this could be the case study. So what are you going to contribute is exactly this case study, how to build a program as the first program of this multidisciplinary department of Athena. And this could be the case study. The contribution of Carinthia University of Applied Science could be this program, and how this program involves this collaboration, but not only in the research, but also in education. For example, I'm teaching in electronics department. We're doing I will say, whatever all the others are doing. So it's a little bit, if you are doing all the others, what are you doing? I'm getting boring. So I think that, you know, such a direction is going to bring, you know, the education, let's say I gave an example, in a different level. So I would like to ask you, do you want to participate in this project regarding the creation of multidisciplinary department? Of course, does not only include, you know, this kind of activities, but, you know, this is an excellent case study in order to start up. I mean, it's going to be a 3 years project. We're not going to start up tomorrow. Do you want to participate?
Without considering specific details, the answer will be a clear yes. The answer is a clear yes, of course. We would be very happy, and the technical details would come later.
Exactly. Citizen science, you mentioned about citizen science, which is absolutely important in order also to enhance the impact of the universities, because the impact of the universities is not, you know, just publication. Publication is like, for us, it's nice to build our edge index, our impact, you know, our ego, but also another aspect of the impact of the universities is like, you know, the sustainability development goal, but also the engagement of the citizens. And what you have done by engaging with this name that I kept the note, where is it? Just a moment. To the
iNaturalist.
The iNaturalist is like a nice. I have one more proposal, but I will stop in order to give the floor now to Ilka, so to have more diversity and more.
No, go ahead with your proposal.
Go ahead. Okay. So this is one, and another thing that I have placed. I don't know where it is. Anyhow, it will come. This is my, you know, my comments and my questions, and I would like to congratulate you, you know, for your work and your presentation. And I will provide the floor to Ilka. Also, Ilka, before I will give you the floor, sensorics also is important. So we can include also sensorics from this point of view, not only to eminent, but also to multidisciplinary department. That I was thinking that you should be involved as you were doing spiders, no? Or you know, not spiders, ants, no?
Ants.
Ants, yes.
Ants.
So, what is yours?
Two legs less.
let me, before I finish, let me tell you that we have a very good ecosystem within Athena in order to create the Athena Biodiversity Group. And also, this is my, sorry, Ilka, give me 30 seconds. This is another thing that I would like to add you. You know, the twinning projects. The twinning project is like the things that, you know, expert countries, they are bringing to countries like Greece, Portugal, not like Greece, we are less technology, let's say, to this category. So I think that this is going to be an excellent idea to in electronics, you know, to build this specialization thanks to your expertise, but also the game for you is like to install in all the countries of Athena, also included the twinning countries, these sensors in order to monitor, you know, animals. So it's going to be my last comment based to your last presentation, last part of your presentation. So that's it from my side. Ilka, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Kostas. Yeah, thanks also from my side for this interesting talk. I had the same thought as Kostas regarding the civil science, because I think this is a very nice opportunity to think about maybe some smaller projects that we could do with students, maybe even with school kids, for example, to better reach out to the society in our regions and to make some small project, like say, in each Athena partner region, we will monitor the insect species or something like this, and do this in a way that it's possible for everybody to join, even if they do not have any expertise in biology. So I think that would be a very nice thing to reach out more in the biology sectors here also. But generally, I have a question, or maybe like I would like to hear your opinion on all these kind of apps that you can download now for smartphones that help to identify species, which is a very nice tool for citizen science, and a lot of people get a nice access on, yeah, becoming more interested in what they find in their garden and so on. But what do you think about the reliances of these apps? Because in general, especially if you have only photos, when I think about beetles, for example, it's not very secure that you really are able to identify the right species. So there's a bit of a danger of becoming having a lot of mistakes if you collect data taken only by people that are not really experts. And also you said something about that we will need, or there will be a relief for experts in taxonomy. Do you think that in the future there will be a change in how biology is taught at the universities? Because I also studied biology when I was a student, and during that time we had a lot of courses where we learned how to identify species and so on. And do you think this will go down, like there will be less courses like this because there are not so many specialists or real taxonomists used or needed anymore?
So maybe I will start with the first question. It's really hard because I'm, as an expert, always try to help. So I try to verify pictures, and therefore it's so important that we make workshops, that we are talking to kids to say, you need to make different pictures. There are apps like Flora Incognita, which leads you through the project. You first make a picture of the flower, then make a picture of the stem, and so on and so on. So it's really important to talk with them, but it's also a huge amount of data we can get, and maybe it's not the best data. Maybe you have some misclassifications, but you have a big amount. And there so in Taiwan we found an insect we never found before, just because someone made a picture, because the expert didn't saw it when he was here, but the citizens, they are living there. So this is a huge data amount, and we know it's not the most precise one, but the experts are reviewing it, and therefore I think it's really good to have it, but always with the knowledge it's not a completely correct data set. But as we know, also the experts can make some errors. So it is how it is, but it's a good challenge to also bring people to a bit the knowledge on biodiversity, and get to some mom told me, oh, now I have a really good thing why my kid should use his smartphone, because he's learning something, and this is a good perspective on this. So it's not just to getting data, also to bringing kids outside. And to the next question of the expert, so we need the expert. So we just collecting data, but we have the expert has to verify if it's a correct data set. This is so AI can help us to really classify, to cluster, so that we do not have to look through 10,000 pictures. We have to go through to know if it absence or presence, to have a look at one picture. And this means that the expert will can be more efficient in working on those identification in the area. But we need both. So we need the people who can use technology, who can develop the algorithms, and we need the experts. So this will never ever be one person. So if you're really good, it can be together in one person, but I think we need both. And it's really important that we also train future experts, that we can have this verification of the data sets.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, we need the people that really are able to actually identify the species. And for example, you see a picture and it's not sure if this is maybe a new beetle species, let's say, then at least you know where it was found, and then the expert can go and try to find the beetle again in order to look more precisely. Yeah.
Thank you, Ilka, for the question, and Vanessa for the answers. I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Nikos Panoudakis. Nikos, the floor is yours.
Hi again. Thank you for the great presentation. It was a very interesting area. For me, it's the first time that I follow presentation by diversity and related technologies. What I found very interesting was the possibility to produce a digital twin of a forest. This is actually, until now, digital twins is about industries and production floors and things like that. And in those cases, we use the digital twin to do simulations to see how the production line of an industry can change based on different factors. So if you have such a model, possibility to model the forest with a digital twin, you can use, or we can use, because I'm working in multi-agent systems, there can be multi-agent-based simulations, so that if you have decoded how a species behaves, you can put the behavior in agents that are the different individuals of the species, and do simulations in the forest. What will happen if something changes? And not only that, if you think you have deduced the behavior of a species, you can use the digital twin and the simulation to validate your results, to see if this is really the behavior of the species. Do a simulation for 1 month, and then check with the real data and find out if your model was correct. So for those aspects, we can collaborate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikos. This is the excellent. I think that this is an excellent. We can complete the session here. As I said, like I felt very surprised when Michael said, like, "Oh, this is the last transparency." I wish to be more transparencies on his presentation. So, in order to complete, I would like to propose that if Michael and Vanessa can send me email, here we have Geraldine as well from the University of Orleans. We have Nikos from the Technical University in Hanya that can provide what has just mentioned, like, you know, the tools. So we have Ilka as well, that she was her PhD is in biology, or if I remember well. So we can create the Biodiversity Science and Technology Group. We can create, you know, intensive programs, courses, the multidisciplinary, you know, courses, and also, you know, research, you know, people to bring together. So if you wish to go ahead, I would like Michael, Vanessa, Ilka, Geraldine, and Nikos, all the others that they are here, I don't know all of them, to be, you know, part of this core team, you know, just create, you know, the group, and then we are going to populate this group with specific activities. If you agree, I can take, you know, the initial charge to formulate this. I will provide then, you know, the lead to Ilka or to Vanessa or to Geraldine or to Michael. I know Michael probably has other things, but I think it deserves to do something very nice and innovative, not only from the point of science, not only from the point of multidisciplinary, but as Ilka has mentioned, regarding the citizen science as well. So we have other people also to bring. Last week, we had a very nice colleague from Vilnius Tech that is an expert in citizen science. So we can bring more people in this group. So if you agree, we can go ahead. I will circulate. Geraldine, probably I don't have your email. If you have registered to this talk,
Yeah.
I can find your email, you know, from the Excel sheet, from the Google form, and then I can contact you.
Yes, yes. For me, it's for Orleans, it's a very nice opportunity to have a group in biodiversity, because in Athena it's more engineering, informatics, and so on.
Rumors. These are rumors. Just rumors.
So well, especially about training entomology, we will have a new formation in September 24. To train to have for entomology, all about entomology, including tools for detecting, identifying, and so with trapped, as they explain, with metabarcoding and barcoding and so on. So I think could be a very good opportunity for us. Yeah.
I have to say, this is the first time that I realized after an Athena talk how a group can create it and can be generated with, I think, a great potential. So I will create, you know, this emailing list. I will try to create, you know, the first connection, and then I will provide the floor to the ladies of this group in order to connect. Nikos, I will include you as well. You're not on the Athena, but probably you can become a member of the Athena, as if you don't disagree, in order also to contribute to this activity. Also, I would like to invite you from the 24th to the 29th of September in Sitia. I can organize a session for this group, let's say, you know,
Yes.
Biodiversity Technologies. This is the Athena Technology Forum that we should organize. So if you would like to come to Crete in order to present, you know, your work again, you know, in face-to-face, I will send you the you don't need an invitation. You're part of Athena, but anyone is very welcome to come enjoy. Probably we can present the thing officially there to the rest of the people. I hope, Vanessa, you don't have a disagreement, because I can see from your body language you're not. Okay, now it's better. All right. All right. So enjoy. Have a nice weekend. Thank you very much for this excellent talk and excellent ideas. And speak to you next week with another contribution from Carinthia, from another colleague. Bye.
Thank you very
Thank
much for the
you.
invitation.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks again for the
Bye.
talk.
See you.
It was a very nice talk. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.